Hi, welcome. I'm Johanna, this is High Tea Toys, and today we're talking about the Hogwarts Castle Supreme Extra Ultimate. So you might have come to this video from the reassembly and cleaning video that I've made as well, where I kind of show you how long it took for me to take this out of the shelf, clean it completely, and then reassemble it. I thought it was going to take me 3 days. Spoiler alert, it was at least double that. So if you're interested in watching that video, feel free to click on the link. So today I want to talk about this amazing piece of Lego. Still makes my heart flutter a little bit. I think it's the Hogwarts Castle we all dreamed of. The Hogwarts Castle we all deserved. I purchased this with my own money about 1.5 years ago, and to me it was a lot of money, and I found it really hard to justify spending this amount of money on some plastic, as some people very kindly put it. However, now I've got it and I've had it for 1.5 years, I am so pleased I did spend the money. It's an amazing piece of both absolute fandom history for me, but also an amazing piece of my collection. I have to say, I don't think I've ever been that excited about anything I've purchased before. It made me feel like a child, it made me feel so excited. I'm going to insert some pictures of when I picked it up because generally I think it was one of the best days of my life. So I basically purchased this because when I was a teenager I got rid of all my original Harry Potter Lego, and I thought if I buy this beauty that will kind of fill that hole in my heart that the lack of Lego I suppose has left. So this was kind of like a justification in that sense. I used to play the PC game for Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and for anybody out there that's played that game, it's basically you running around Hogwarts the whole time. And when I was building this, I kind of was like in my head running through Hogwarts again in that game. Exterior is incredibly detailed, incredibly accurate. It makes me super happy. The interior, obviously, they've kind of tried putting some of the bigger movie moments in, so not everything is necessarily movie accurate. It's maybe in a few different places where you wouldn't expect them. However, it's fun to have them included, so I'm glad that they tried fitting some little jokes, little movie moments. So that brings me on to the first thing I would have loved to see in this set. For the price, I think it would have been really fun if they had included some ghosts. I know these are all microfigures, but I think they made some microfigure ghosts. That would have made me incredibly excited. There is a sticker with Moaning Myrtle on, but obviously that's not quite the same. It would have been really fun to have some of the ghosts. Ideally maybe the Baron, the Grey Lady, Myrtle, maybe the Fat Friar, but ideally very much Peeves to have included in this set. So a lot of interior detail in this set is created by stickers. So if you don't like stickers, there is a lot of them in this set, and to be honest, because of the scale of this build, kind of needs to use stickers in order to get more detail. There is a few areas where I would have liked to see slightly less stickers, or maybe more of a balance, and that is in the tower itself. So the top of this is the Dumbledore office area. Below that we have an adorable sort of detail of Moaning Myrtle's bathroom, but in her bathroom we have the prefect bathroom, and on the other side you have Moaning Myrtle and her cubicles. So you kind of have a nod to both those sets, but obviously the actual build-up interior is just Moaning Myrtle's. It's an odd choice to have that bathroom at the top floor rather than at the bottom. That would have made slightly more sense. So I was surprised to see that, but I guess they're having to balance obviously very few interiors with lots of different scenes they wanted to include. So that's one of those minor points. And then the other 2 floors, you just have a moving staircase. So I'm really appreciative that they move. It's a really simple mechanism, but it's a really lovely detail. The only problem I have with these stairs is that the handles are white, just because white feels really contrasting and a little bit too bathroom, I suppose. So that leads me on to the next thing that I really want to talk about. So when this came out, it really felt like, oh yeah, I remember when there was Harry Potter Lego, here is like the Hogwarts you've always dreamed of. Now you're an adult and this is probably within your budget. Obviously since then they have started releasing minifigure scale sets. In particular for me, I don't own any of the Hogwarts sets, but I've been apprehensive in buying them just because I have this and I absolutely adore this. And I would love a minifigure scale Hogwarts castle, but if you go to the minifigure sized sets that they're releasing, they just don't have the same level of detail. One of my favourite bits of the castle, the Great Hall. So I think that was one of the first bigger Hogwarts minifigure size sets that they released after the Whomping Willow, And I absolutely love the Great Hall. It's such an iconic place. I've obviously been to the Warner Brothers studio tour in London. Just walking into that place, it's like my memories live here. It's an amazing room, so it's an absolute delight to have it included in this Hogwarts to sort of the grand scale that you'd imagine it being, with the amazing stained glass windows. The scale of the hall itself inside is just brilliant. I absolutely adore it. I really think the height of the ceiling does justice to what you think in the books and what you see in the movie. So when you then go to the minifigure sized Great Hall, it just feels slightly lacking. Once again, I completely know that they have different considerations for those sets, and they have to kind of balance the playability, appeal to adult level fans, also the cost of these sets, because if you were to make that Great Hall set at the proper scale that you would like it to be, you're probably looking at double the cost, if not more, and that's probably, I can completely see that that's not viable for Lego, but it does kind of make you wish you did have that. So obviously this is kind of like a push in the direction of, oh, you want that, go and build your own mock, but you know, then you go into crazy figures of money and bricks that you will need. However, I think that's also double praise for this Great Hall that's included here. It's one of my favourite details of the set itself. Just the size of it is amazing. I love the stained glass window detail. I think there's so much stained glass included in this Hogwarts, and it is one of my favourite details that they've had. I think the way you build them is ingenious. When I filmed my close-ups for this set, it just made me really appreciate how beautiful the set is. It's so stunningly detailed. It just makes me so happy. So I just want to move on to some of the interiors now. So as I said, because you have very limited room for interiors, some of the placements of little scenes are a bit odd. I really like where they've placed Umbridge's office and her classroom. I think that's really appropriate. I really like that they've included the Chamber of Secrets has been opened message. I think that's a very lovely detail. They also have like the Umbridge's decrees, like the Ministry of Magic decrees, just underneath a window. I think that's a really nice detail as well. So they've really tried to have loads of little things that you can notice. However, they've also included the Gryffindor Common Room, which is great. I love the Gryffindor Common Room. It's an iconic set, but we all know that it's at the top of a tower. Harry's dormitory is round. It's just such a big thing. However, here they decided to include the Gryffindor Common Room on the left-hand side of this building, and it just doesn't feel right. It seems very much like, oh, we want to have a Gryffindor Common Room, it's so iconic, but we don't know where to place it, let's just put it here. It's right next to sort of the library. I think that's fine. But the Gryffindor Common Room right next to it just doesn't quite feel right. I don't know, it kind of bugs me. Once again, it's a really minor thing. Because of it being so much out of the way, you could have just included a different thing. I don't think I would have completely regretted there not being a Gryffindor Common Room. Considering where it is, I don't know if it was needed to have it included. I'm sure I'm going to get like loads of people saying, no, we love it, it's great, it had to be included, but I just think it's an odd placement. So if you then go on to the detail that's right underneath it, you obviously have Snape's classroom. It's wonderful to have Snape's classroom included. It's such an iconic set, loads of things happen there. Snape is iconic, then also the Slughorn sequence. There's so much footage of that classroom in so many movies. I'm really glad it's included. I think they did it justice. The detail is wonderful. I think they did a great job with that. Right next to it is the Room of Requirement. Now, the Room of Requirement is once again very iconic, but also definitely not in a dungeon. So I think it's on the 7th floor. Am I misremembering that? It's very high up in the castle. So it's very interesting that they've placed that in the dungeon as well. Once again, I'm going to be saying this constantly. It's not necessarily criticism. I completely know why this happens. It just seems odd that it's at the very bottom. I'm assuming they just had some room and they were like, oh, this is an iconic set, let's put it here. Instead of the Room of Requirement, if you wanted some more Slytherins, you could have placed the Slytherin Common Room there. It would have been the perfect place to put a Slytherin Common Room, just because we all know that that Common Room is in the dungeons. It's an iconic set too. I think a lot of people would have liked to have a Slytherin Common Room included, because it's unlike, that's not very often that that's included. So I think that would have been a really cool decision as well. Also, it's featured in the movies, maybe not as prominently as a Room of Requirement, but it would have been a really fun thing to include, especially in that place. Now I just want to go on to one of my favourite details they did include, the very long sequence of the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone or Sorcerer's Stone. I absolutely adore the detail that they put into that, and it's just something that makes me so happy. I absolutely love the flying key room. I think it's adorable. I really love the chess set. I'm really glad they included that. I know it's only like a part of the board, but I'm really glad it's there. The detail is wonderful. And then just a little tiny mirror of error set. I'm so glad it's there. For the size it is, they've done an amazing job. So I'm absolutely in awe of what they've done for it. And that goes on to the tiny cute Chamber of Secrets. I think for what room they had, they really did justice to those two movies. I think what they've included is amazing. They are the most iconic things. I'm just so pleased what they've done with those two rooms. For the compromise that they had to make within this building, I think it's brilliant. I am so pleased that that's there. So, and the last detail and interior that I just wanted to talk about is Dumbledore's office. It's gorgeous. I'm really glad it's included. It's one of my favourite rooms. It's so iconic. Obviously there was a set completely dedicated to this back in the Chamber of Secrets release of sets. It's gorgeous. I'm such a fan. I really love that they've included the gargoyle that they use for the rotating staircase to get up to Dumbledore's office. And in the office itself, yes, it's quite heavily reliant on the stickers on the walls to give you that detail of this office, but it remains a wonderful, wonderful room. So I also really enjoy the inclusion of the boathouse. It gives you a really awesome perspective for when you want to take photos of this set. It just gives you a lovely line up to the tower and gives you that sense of scale. Also in the movies, obviously this is a very iconic place because that's where Snape dies, that's where Harry spies on Voldemort, so it really is quite significant. Obviously in the book that all happens in the Shrieking Shack, but this is obviously way more movie based just because of the layout. So the sets included are movie based rather than book based, hence why Peeves is probably never going to happen, and the boathouse is way more significant than, for example, the Shrieking Shack, which is not included. The same goes for why the Hungarian Horntail is included and is currently sitting on the roof. I think for photograph opportunities, the Hungarian Horntail looks really great. I think it adds a really fun detail to the roof. Obviously the only thing that I haven't got on my table right now is the lovely display with Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Salazar Slytherin and Rowena Ravenclaw. I think that was in my collection video that I made a little while back. I absolutely love that detail. I'm really glad that we did get some minifigures that were exclusive to the set. I'm really pleased that they exist. It's a shame that every other minifigure included in this set is Microscale, but it totally makes sense for this set. And there is quite a lot of them just to go around. But I don't think anybody could afford this set being actually minifigure scale size. That would, quite apart from being not able to afford it, I don't think it would fit in my house, quite frankly. So, guess we sometimes want things that realistically aren't practical. So if you want to build a minifigure sized Hogwarts castle, I recommend you Google that, because there is some amazingly talented mock builders that have made some awesome versions of the Hogwarts castle at minifigure scale where it includes so many fun scenes. So if you really are pining for a Hogwarts minifigure sized castle, go and look on Google. It's a wonderful place. So 1.5 years on from buying this set, is this set worth it? I suppose after like me babbling on for about 500 years about this set, yes, it's completely worth it. I was really worried about spending the money that I did on it, however it's completely worth it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous set. It looks amazing in any house and I think it really adds to any person's Hogwarts collection. I'm still waiting for the day where I have a dedicated Lego room and I can have this Hogwarts set on some rocks in a sort of universal Orlando perspective bamboozle where I can pretend this is minifigure scale and have my full size set in front of it. That's completely the dream, and one day I'm sure that will happen. So if you're like in doubt whether to buy it or not, I would completely say if you're going for a movie accurate adult Lego fan oriented build, please go for this one. It's amazing. I'm not going to say that their new Hogwarts sets aren't worth it. I think they're really great in their own right, but they're definitely a different type of Lego. If you have any particular questions about this set or just want to have a chat, feel free to leave anything in the comments. I think that's all I have to say on this set. I'm sure I will think of 5 other things in sort of 10 minutes. Anything Lego that's happening in my life I will be reporting on. I'm quite active on Instagram, so if you want to kind of keep up as to what I'm doing Lego wise on a day-to-day basis, please feel free to follow me there. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. How do?